Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism, narcissistic relationships, healing from narcissistic relationships, and just understanding them in general. So we all know about love bombing, right? You know, presents and nights out. Well, here's a question for you. How do broke narcissists love bomb you? Let's take that on. Maybe the better question is, can a broke narcissist love bomb you? And the answer to that is yes, they do. And I gotta tell you, it's every bit as impactful if you're dating a narcissistic person with cash. Our sort of trope, our standard take on love bombing is dinners out and trips and flowers and gifts. It's also very gendered. A narcissistic man with cash wines and dines someone. But it's very dangerous to use that one-dimensional, prototypical take on love bombing, because then there's a risk you'll miss it. A person with not much money can love bomb you, and you may not even recognize it because you may think, oh, well, this person isn't hitting me up with lots of fancy dinners and gifts. It's not just that. Love bombing is a phase of idealization and seduction. It's a time typically when a person is meeting someone new and getting to know them. In order to understand love bombing, we also need to understand our love bombability. Despite the narcissistic person's scarce empathy and their disinterest once you finally are really together, one gift of narcissistic people is that they're able to read people, and more specifically, what other people want and need. It's why they're often such good salespeople. And that's a big part of what's happening in the love bombing phase. They are figuring out what to give you, what to do to draw you in. The gifts, dinners, travel, love bombing trope gets so much attention because it's very visible. It plays into existing narratives about BS fairy tales. It's what we see in the movies, and more it's the nonsense we see about people on Instagram and their relationships. It works if the person with all the money and all the stuff finds a person who would be affected by that and enjoy it. But a narcissistic love bomber can also figure out if it's something else. A narcissistic person may figure out that your bombability is around emotional sharing. So they may share lots of feelings with you. They may find out that your thing is charitable endeavors and giving back. And so they might claim to be a donor to this or that, or actually get involved in that. It may be your thing may be around family, and they may talk about their close-knit family. The things they're saying to you may not even be true. But by saying these things, they can find that way in. Another way that love bombing works is by sheer intensity. Lots of people out there, particularly people with narcissistic parents, were not adequately seen in childhood. So when someone pays attention, it may get your notice, especially if you are attracted to them or interested in them. So they may be on it. And I don't mean in a creepy stalker, I'm going to send you 50 messages and get angry if you don't respond kind of way, but they're on it in the way of the good mornings, the good nights, the how's your day, the thinking of you, the picture of something they're doing or something they saw, or sharing pictures from the day before when you were together. You don't need money to do that. And since it's so performative, they can just do it for a little while to win you over, because it is quite seductive. And that intensity is often the most compelling part of love bombing. And obviously, yeah, sometimes it gets coupled with spendy stuff like gifts and meals and stuff, but sometimes it's just the intensity. You may also be someone who has said to yourself, I'm going to steer clear of the love bombers. I am not going to fall for it. If someone wants to take me out fancy, I'm ahead of them. Instead, you might think, oh, well, if someone is doing something more simple, like a little picnic, or taking me to a food truck, or picking some flowers by the side of the road, or making me a simple dinner at home, well, those may not seem like grandiose gestures. So they may not clock in as traditionally love bombing. But if those simple gestures speak to you, and that's also coupled with that interest and that intense focus, it's love bombing. People who don't have money, narcissistic people without money, can also sell us the story we want to hear. You may care about animals, so they share the dog pictures. You may care about family. Again, they'll tell you about their big family, show you pictures. You may care about travel, and they may say, once I have more money, I want to go here and there and everywhere. Doesn't mean they had to have done it, but it's still appealing. I'm always very careful to say that we are not silly or foolish for being love bombed. Any of us will blossom under attention. That said, what we need to do in our process of knowing ourselves is to know ourselves, to know what grabs our attention, what's compelling, what plays on our old narratives, and even on our trauma-bonded stories, to know what may undercut our critical thinking because it speaks to what we want. A person, for example, who is a single parent and has been having trouble dating may be more vulnerable to a new person who tells them that they're a single parent too, or that they really respect single parents and that this isn't an issue for them. Love bombing in that way can be about correction, and you don't need money to do that. So no, love bombing ain't just a rich person's game. And while we are on this, remember, women can be narcissistic and can love bomb too. Again, we often use a very gendered telling of the story, but I've had some people ask me about this who have said, yo, I was love bombed by a woman. There's no reason it can't be dinners out and gifts or intense attention or simple dinner at home. Gender doesn't matter. Anybody can love bomb. It's important that we don't let the stereotypes get us off our game and think that, well, this person isn't wealthy, this person doesn't have anything, so it can't be love bombing. The hell it can. If anything, it may even foster a greater vulnerability because there may be a greater likelihood of justification, and for that narcissistic love bomber sort of playing on pity and guilt in you and maybe other manipulations. Vulnerable narcissistic people are a great example of this and are often so victimized and so failure to launchy that people will recall getting lost in this new person's sad story. Then your empathy can become targeted, and then you may feel drawn to their hard luck story and want to rescue them. Love bombing is an equal opportunity experience. What's crucial is that we know ourselves and that we understand the things that pull on our hearts. And if it isn't too extravagant, it can be easier to not register it. So yes siree, broke narcissistic people can love bomb just as well as anyone else. Thanks again.